So welcome to our students and teachers. We are so glad that you are here joining us for this Ontario Trillium Foundation Manufacturing and Trades webinar. We are really excited to have you here. And if you would just hold with us for a minute while we work out some technical issues here, I'd like to start by introducing you to our President and CEO, Jennifer Holmes-Weir. So we'll see if we can get our technical issues sorted out here, but welcome and thank you for your patience.
All right. Good afternoon, students. I'm Jennifer Holmes-Weir, the President and CEO of Junior Achievement of Central Ontario. On behalf of the team, welcome to JA's World of Choices, Manufacturing and Trades webinar. Before we get started, a big thank you to the educators who made this conversation possible through your classrooms. We are thrilled to host this event, thanks to the ongoing support of RBC and thanks to a seed grant from the Ontario Trillium Foundation. For today's session, we have a phenomenal lineup of speakers. You'll meet them in a few minutes. These are accomplished leaders, business owners, and tradespeople. I hope you have a lot of questions ready. At JA, we're bringing the world of work to life. Through programs and events like World of Choices Career Series, we're helping you explore big questions like what comes after high school or which job is right for me. By connecting you with people who have gone down their own paths and have experiences and insight to share. So today we're exploring manufacturing and the skilled trades. Perhaps you already know that skilled trades specialists are in high demand, not only in Ontario, but across Canada. What are these careers? These are specially trained chefs and bakers, educational assistants, stylists, plumbers, carpenters, industrial electricians, and more. If you like to work with your hands, if you're a builder, and if you like to see the impact you're having, these careers may be for you. Students, it's my pleasure to introduce you to John Taylor, who will take over from here. John is a very special person to all of us at JA. You will often find John volunteering in JA programs, and he has recently completed his term as chair of the board. John knows what he's talking about when it comes to careers in manufacturing and the skilled trades. He's a successful entrepreneur who built Govan into Canada's largest interiors construction company with offices across the country, and he's an investor in a wide variety of ventures. Welcome, John. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. So as Jennifer said, my name is John Taylor, and I am currently the co-chair of the Govan group of companies. So before we get going with today's panel, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my career and how I ended up to where I am. So I did an engineering degree at Queen's many, many years ago, and didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I'd worked in a couple of construction jobs during the summer. So I graduated and there wasn't many jobs available, and I ended up getting a job selling service contracts for an electrical contracting company. Not an easy job, one with great challenges. And you know, my first piece of advice was, one of the reasons I became fairly proficient at it is I had a mentor. In fact, I had two mentors. My dad was a mentor, but more importantly, I had a mentor within the company, someone who was older than me, who kind of took me under his wing and gave me advice and career ideas, and it really, really helped. So I continued to work at that job, and I got better and better at it, and the company sponsored me to go back and do an MBA, and then I came back and worked for many years all over the world for this organization. And it occurred to me, you know what, I think I want to own my own business. So I took all I had and borrowed everything I could, and I bought a third of this small little construction business called Govan. And with my two partners, we worked very hard to grow the business. And over the years, we got bigger and bigger and opened up offices across the country. And our sales sort of grew to about 300 million. And then we had the opportunity to sell. And we sold about 3 years ago to the largest one of the largest construction companies in the US. So a couple of pieces of other advice that I might give anyone. One is, you know, when I thought about the construction industry, I thought of many different jobs, and in whatever industry or whatever side of a particular industry or profession you're looking at, there are many different jobs within that industry. So for construction, for example, you could be a tradesman, or you could be a salesman like me, or you could be an accountant or a web designer or a administrator or a health and safety or a graphic artist. Or for example, in the music business, you know, you could be a musician, but you can also be an engineer or a salesperson or an administrator. So don't necessarily restrict yourself to just one job within an industry. The second thing, and this is something that's really important to me, is someone told me a long time ago, and I really do believe this. They said, you know, do something you love and then find a way to get paid for it. And I have had a career that has proven that beyond a shadow of a doubt. I love what I do. I've loved it for 35 years. I have traveled all over the world. I have met thousands of people. Most of my best friends come from my industry. It has been my absolute pleasure to do it, and it never felt like work. And if it never feels like work and you're passionate about it, I promise you, you'll be good at it. So with that, I thought we'd get on with today's agenda. So we're very fortunate today to have a great group of panelists, and we're looking forward to hearing their experiences. But before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping items with you today. So one, take notes as you listen to the speakers. Two, we're dependent on technology for the success of this event. If you get disconnected, rejoin, and we will of course do the same. Participants will be on mute, but can interact by posting questions in a question box. So I've seen a few questions already, so keep them coming. Later in the webinar, we'll have an opportunity to have your questions answered. Please post those in the question box, as I said earlier, to your right. Okay, our 5 speakers today all have different educational and career paths. It is our hope that through this webinar, you will each learn something new about the world of work, and that you'll be inspired by the speakers to consider how you can find a pathway to success as you make decisions about your future career. Understand that this will be a journey and you don't have to figure it all out now. I certainly didn't have it all figured out when I was in high school, but I had some ideas, and hopefully today, we didn't have this when I was growing up, so hopefully we can provide some insight and some thoughts that might help you along your career path. So you can though embrace opportunities like these and learn from them, from others that will help you along the way. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce today's panelists. So starting today, first we have Michele Bonnick. Michele Bonnick has 30 years of experience and is truly an expert in her field. She is the owner of the Amani hair studio and has built a solid reputation on primarily working with clients with natural hair. She has an uncanny ability to repair damaged hair, and her desire is to promote healthy hair care and to take it to another level. Michele?
Hi. I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody, and I'm so happy that everybody came out. Just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a licensed hairstylist. I took a social working program at George Brown, and I went to Humber College as an educational assistant. Some of the career goals, well, how did I get into this field? So I got into this field because I really love getting my hair done. And we had neighborhood girls that would do our hair for us. And I absolutely loved getting my hair done. So every couple of days I would line up like, the rest of the girls, and I'd watch them braid and stuff. And they'd see me coming and they'd be like, oh no, she's here every single day. No. So they actually put a stop to me coming every other day. And I was so embarrassed and I felt rejected. I decided to sit and watch them a little bit longer. Then I went home, sat on my veranda and tried to do it myself. And to my surprise, I was able to do it. And everybody seen my hair and was so surprised. Oh my goodness, how on earth, did you do your own hair? Did somebody do it? And I was just so proud of myself, that I turned a situation around that was, sometimes we feel rejected, we feel rejected because somebody said something to us, and but I was able to turn the situation around and make it, be a really positive experience for me. So from there on, I knew I really, really loved doing hair, and I'm here today, which is, 30 years in business. I have my own business. I absolutely love, love, love what I do. Every day is a new day. And I believe, what I believe is that you really should love what you do. Absolutely, you'll make a way. There will be a way that will be made for you if you just figure out what you love and just do it. So what I do on a daily basis as a business owner, I pivot between practicing my trade and managing my team. I do some long-term planning and consultations with clients. What steps I took before owning my own salon was, I was a stylist, and then from a stylist, I got the opportunity to be a assistant manager, and then from assistant managing, I became an independent contractor, and I rented a chair, and I really, really just absolutely loved what I did, and I wanted to take it to another level. So I opened a salon, and it's been 20 years now that I've had the salon, and I've been happy every day. Every day that I get up to do it, just makes me happy. And there's some things that I'd like to talk about mentorship. I think that everybody should have a mentor. It's so great to have support, somebody that's in your field that loves what they do, that they can encourage you and support you. And my mentor was Mr. Azan, and Mr. Azan came to this country in I want to say in the 70s or late 60s, 70s, and opened a salon. And he is a second cousin of mine as well. And so he supported me through, my whole career. I could call him, have conversations if I'm unsure of something, he'll help guide me through it. So I'm really, really happy that I had this great mentor. And the one thing that he taught me a lot of things, but one thing he taught me was that whatever I teach you, teach somebody else. And it's been my pleasure to there's a lot of co-op students that I've had, and I've been able to train them. A lot of kids that, that I took from school or hired on as co-op. And, it's been my pleasure to see them grow and evolve. And in terms of, in this business day to day, there are challenges and obstacles. I really don't think that I have challenges. I just I just keep, I just keep working through it. Like whatever issues that come up, I just keep it moving. I don't hold on to any negativity or, negative things that have happened. I just keep it moving. It's so important to keep it moving. You don't want anybody to hold you in a place. You don't want to hold on to, unforgiveness or, be upset about a situation that could really hinder your future. So I just like to keep things going, and and I use these, negative things that happen as just kind of like a stepping stone, and I just level up from there. I just take it to another level. Okay. And how I overcome, negative situations is I believe in myself. I have total belief in myself. I don't have any, the option is not to succeed. I just have, total and complete belief in myself. And I think that it's really important to be, optimistic, ask for help, accept support from people. If people want to support you, let them, allow them, and really have a positive mindset. In terms of, my industry, there's really great opportunities that are happening all the time. You can go on Facebook, and Matrix has so many classes online that you can take. So many classes online that you can take, and there is, but what I really recommend is specialize. If you can specialize in something, this is what employers are looking for, that people are, they have specialties in things. So that's about it. I just encourage you guys to have an incredible year. 2021 is going to be amazing. Don't look to the left, don't look to the right, just look forward. There's so much that you can do, and I wish you guys all the best.
Thanks, Michele. You are clearly an example of someone who does something who they're very passionate about and clearly do it very, very well. So thank you.
Thank you.
So our next panelist I'd like to introduce, and I know him quite well, is HANY YOUNAN. And HANY joined Govan Brown as a project management assistant several years ago, and is currently the director of operations for our Southwestern Ontario operations in Kitchener. Prior to that, HANY worked in Dubai for AMS Metal Industries and Hill International as a senior project coordinator. For HANY, his second project at Govan Brown was Simon's at Mississauga. I remember very well. He began the project as a project management assistant, but soon took over the role of project manager and successfully completed that project on schedule. I was at the opening. It was a great opening. And he holds a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a master's degree in construction management. Thanks, HANY, for joining us.
Thank you so much, John, and really excited to be, part of this platform. I think if time goes back, I would really appreciate to, be one of the students and hear to what people have to say about their careers. I think we didn't have the opportunity back in the time, but I'm really glad to be able to be on the panel here and talk to you guys about how I got to be the director of operations, working with John and Govan Brown. So a little bit about me. I think my education was, I did my Bachelor of Civil Engineering, like John said. I graduated in 2009. I then started working in Dubai in a structural steel shop where we were fabricating and installing different types of steel structures from gas stations, pedestrian bridges, and metro stations. I was, part of me, throughout my education, I always knew that I want to be in the construction industry, but I wasn't sure about, do I want to work in the steel industry? Do I want to work in masonry? Do I want to do electrical, mechanical? I wasn't too sure. So I went to civil engineering knowing that it has something to do with that. And, I started working with my dad on the first job in AMS Metal, and we did all that different work. And as I'm working there, I decided to have more education. So I took on a master's of construction management that I did part-time as I'm working in AMS Metals. And that took me about 2.5 years. And after I was done there, I knew that, I want to take a career change. Like I want to start looking at something different in my career. And so at that point, I took on a job with a third-party project management. And I worked on a project in Dubai. It was called Nation Towers. And I was responsible for the fit-out work for a St. Regis hotel. It's a 5-star hotel out there in a very nice location. So that to me sounded very exciting. And when I started working on this job and doing fit out for the hotel, I knew this is where I want to be. I knew that, you know, I wanted to continue and pursue this career. It was very exciting to me, you know, seeing the job come together and you know, the operator of the hotel come in, they're happy with the results and they're operating the hotel. Clients are coming in, everyone is impressed with the results. So to me, that was the level of satisfaction that I wanted to see and that makes me feel achieved on the job. After that, you know, I took the big move and decided to move to Canada with my wife. And you know, moving is always challenging because, you know, you get to a new country, you're not very familiar with the construction market here. So I had to take on a job with a masonry company. I worked there as a project coordinator. If I'm being honest about it, that's not really something that I wanted to do, but I had to, you know, get my foot in the door. And so I took on this job. I stayed there for about a year. So yeah, I just said I didn't want to do it, but the positive side of things is, you know, working with a subcontractor in the masonry field, you know, taught me a lot of things. You know, dealing with jobs from a subcontractor perspective is different than dealing with jobs from a construction manager perspective. So I think I had a lot to learn there, working with the guys on site, with bricklayers, understanding from them how their work goes, kind of helps me now during my job to be able to schedule the work for these sub trades. I understand what's involved, and you know, I know how long work will take. So again, every step I took in my career taught me something, and I think for all of you guys, it's going to be the same. You're always going to learn. You know, all of us learn something new with every job, with every day we go to work. So there's always room for improvement for all of us, and I think that's how I looked at this job. I then moved to, you know, Govan Brown, like John said, and I started there as a project manager assistant. And my first job was Toronto Hydro. It was a big program that Govan Brown was doing. And I stayed there for about 6 months. I then moved to Simons. I think Simons is a big highlight of my career because I started as a project manager assistant, and you know, we had some changes in staffing and whatnot. So I took on the responsibility of being the project manager on the job. It was, you know, something new. It was a big change. It was very challenging at the time. There's always the fear of change for all of us, you know, going into new steps of our careers and accepting changes. So I think the key to be able to do that in the right way and have like a success in this project was getting support when you need it. Ask questions as much as you need to. Try to learn and understand how things should be done the right way. Don't just take things on and assume things to be done and just go about with doing things the wrong way without asking questions. No one expects you to know everything. No one of us knows everything. We're always going to learn. So I was able to work with my mentor and leaders in our company to have, you know, get their help to understand how things should be done the right way. And if I was unsure about something, I'd always seek, you know, help and support from our leaders. So that was very important, and that was key to my success in this company. You know, after Simons, we then did a lot of jobs. Some of them you guys might be familiar with. Some others are, you know, office spaces that you wouldn't see, but just a few examples. So we did recently just finished the whole Renfrew job on Bloor. We mainly specialize in office spaces. So we've done the Rogers space in Brampton. There was about 400,000 square feet in their facility there that we renovated. We've done the Captain One offices in downtown Toronto. You know, we just we're also now working on a lot of more exciting jobs. But before I get there, I think after that, about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, there was an opportunity of expanding our offices in Canada. And I think Govan Brown leadership was looking at expanding and opening up an office in Kitchener to manage the Southwest region. And, you know, our VP approached me and said, you know, would you be interested to take on this role? So to me, you know, I live in Oakville, and I was working downtown. I'm comfortable there. I love the commute to, you know, going to downtown. I got used to it. Kitchener seemed a bit far, so there was all these challenges. Do I really want to take on the challenge of driving an hour every day back and forth, and you know, having to come back on for this long trip every day, and like a lot of challenges with the family and whatnot. So I think at the time I thought about it and I said, this is a great opportunity for my career. And there was all the fear of, well, this is a new office, we don't have work there, we're going to have to look for jobs. So a bit fast forward from there, we were able to, start about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and having foot on the ground and our clients seeing that, we're committed to the community, we want to be part of this community. We now have this year about $20 million worth of work in the Kitchener market, in the Southwest region. That includes, the Deloitte offices that we just finished recently. We're doing a couple of law firm offices. And next year, we have about $100 million in the pipeline for a big Google space. So, being able to go through these challenges and beating this fear that you have to new opportunities is very important. I think a couple of things to advise here is, you always seek to learn, ask questions, talk to your mentor, try to, look up to your leaders in the company and see where you want to be and what you want to be, and just go at it.
Hey, thanks, HANY. That's good advice. And I think you're another perfect example of someone who's passionate about what they do, but also someone who is, worked his way up through the ranks. And I think it's important for everyone to realize you don't get to start at the top. Most of us start at the bottom, and through hard work and perseverance and good mentorship, we're able to move up. So thank you, HANY. So on to our next speaker. I'd like to introduce SUZANNE BARR. SUZANNE BARR is one of North America's most respected chefs with a signature flair for Afro-Caribbean comfort food. Her impressive repertoire includes past owner of the True Diner and Saturday Dinette, starring role in The Heat, Kitchen Revolution, a resident judge on the Food Network Canada's Wall of Chefs, as well as a notable social advocacy work, and a memoir cookbook being published next spring. SUZANNE, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you, John. Hello, everyone. Hi, students and teachers. It is truly a pleasure to be here with you guys today to give you a bit of a glimpse of what I've done. I guess I'm going to go back a bit to high school because, it's something to talk about how you transition from one thing to another. And I've made many transitions in my life, but I remember going back to high school and my early days of stepping into understanding what trade work was actually through photography. So I actually went to vocational school when I was in high school. I was in regular high school and I was in vocational high school at the same time. And when I graduated with a vocational degree in photography, which then pushed me to then follow my path as going to art school. I enrolled, I grew up in the US, but I am Canadian by birth. And so growing up in the US, I then moved to New York to go to art school. And when I started at art school, I think, and when I moved to New York, I think my world opened up. Like it was thinking about what life looked like coming from like a suburban life in Florida, in like the suburbs of Fort Lauderdale, to now moving to the heart of New York City. Growing up in a very simple neighborhood experience to now being the bustling vibe of New York. It changed my whole perspective on what I thought and who I wanted to be in life. And I think this is something that's really important that I want everyone to hear, is that at any stage in your life, you can and you will evolve in what you want to do. And that, when I got to art school, I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to be an artist. What does it actually mean to be a photographer? What did that look like? And quickly I found myself I fell in love with film. Film and television was something that I could take my photographs and I could have them in motion, and that there was a storytelling element to it that I was really, really excited about. So I found myself dropping out of college. I dropped out of art school and I kind of just pursued working in the industry. And the industry that I jumped right into was in the film and television industry. I started working really, really hard at just grasping the fundamental understanding of what my role was. And I started out as a production assistant. I worked out as a production assistant on a few smaller commercials and music videos in New York at the time. And then I realized that it was becoming a lot more challenging for me living in New York. I wasn't in college anymore, and my parents were like, what are you going to do with your life? And that's probably something that you guys are going to hear over and over again from your parents. No fear. Don't let it like rumble or rustle your feathers. Just know that they're just looking out for the best of you. And they're thinking about making sure that you're thinking about what your future could look like. So after leaving, I decided to actually leave New York, and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where I continued to work in the film industry. I pursued it at a level where I actually made my way into working in the camera department. Leaving the camera department, I then worked in the as a producer. I wanted to understand everything about film and television. It was my passion. And by the time I turned 29, I had a job as a production manager and an executive producer at MTV Networks. So at that point in my career, at 29, I was producing a few TV shows at MTV in the United States, as well as I was also working on quite a few music videos. And music videos, you guys will probably definitely know, I worked with artists from Jay-Z to Missy Elliott to Jagged Edge. I mean, it was such a hotbed of opportunity for anyone that was working in film and television to be in New York City, Miami, and California at that point. But I think what for me really made that shift is at the age of 30, I decided that I was at that point where I was kind of exhausted. I didn't see that film was going to give me the satisfaction, that craving that I was missing, and I didn't know what it actually meant, and I didn't know how to describe it. So I actually went on a weekend retreat with some friends. I came back and I decided quickly that food was something that I was always in my life. I always being a Caribbean kid in our household of Jamaican roots, we were always cooking. Food was always something that we had at the table. We were always making beef patties together. We were making curry. We were making something in our household. So I decided to go back to school at the age of 30 to become a chef. And that was the change that I didn't really know that I really needed. And that has now led me on this path of opening a restaurant and opening a second restaurant, my first restaurant, Saturday Dinette. I moved back to Canada about 7 years ago with my husband, and we started to pursue our passion in food here in Canada. And since being here in these last 7 years, what I can say, it has been the change that I needed. I have been an advocating for food justice, for women in kitchens, for Black women's voices in kitchens, for making sure that folks know that we are not just there to be in the back and people not to see us, that our voices are and will be heard, and that we believe in good food for everyone. Everybody deserves a good balanced meal. And that's what we were looking to achieve at Saturday Dinette, as well as my last project, True Diner, which we just recently closed at the beginning of the epidemic last year. But at the end of the day, what I really want to encapsulate with everything that I've shared with you guys today is that no matter where you are at any stage in your life, you can always begin again. You can always start and follow your passion, and your passion might change, but just know that it's the best for you to just be doing something that you love and that will give back to you time and time again.
That is amazing, Suzanne. Thank you so much. I think one of the things that it's obvious is the art of pivot, and students pivot is really the ability to move as your circumstances change. So obviously Suzanne has had a number of different careers and clearly has been very successful at all of them because she's been able to pivot. So our last panelist today, I will say that our fifth panelist had some technical issues and will not be joining us. So there's only 4 panelists today, is James Taylor, no relation to me. James works for the CWB group, which administers the CSA codes as they pertain to structural welding within Canada. Prior to working with CWB, James welded and ran several welding shops within Ontario. I have a little bit of experience with welding, and I agree with what James has said here. James encourages students to look into a career in welding, as it is a great career opportunity to consider and is in very high demand, not just in Ontario, but across Canada. Welcome, James.
Thank you, John. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this amazing thing. I got some tough acts to follow, but I will try and keep you guys entertained and interested. Much like everybody else, I've followed quite a different path throughout my lifetime. So through high school, I was encouraged to go through what was then, at that point, it was called advanced, but going through to get into a university. And like many people in high school, I did not know what I wanted to do with my life. I hadn't decided I wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, or any of those things that we all know what they are. So I took a general degree in university, and I wound up coming out of that university with a degree in sociology and history. So at that point, I had a decision to make. I could have gone into maybe being a teacher or social worker, but those weren't things that I was quite ready for. So I decided that I would go and work in a factory, and that factory had some welding going on. I knew nothing about welding at the time of working at that factory, but I did see fire and sparks and blue light going on in the backside of the factory, and it was really exciting. So on my breaks, I went over and I learned from this welder how to do some welding, and then I saved some money and I enrolled myself into college and completely said goodbye to everything I'd done with the university side of things. So I went into college at Conestoga in Guelph, and I learned to be a welder fitter. When I was done that course, I still wasn't quite sure that I had enough information on how to do all this welding stuff. So I took 2 more years and came out with a welding engineering degree. At that point, I entered the working world, and I worked for several different plants before I finally landed into a very big one in Guelph, and worked there for several years doing a lot of welding, making skyjacks, specifically the scissor lifts that you guys probably see all over the place that are gray and orange. Partway through working there, I sort of got bored, and I started to realize, that there's got to be something else for me to do. So I did the one thing that I knew I could do, and I started applying within the company for different jobs. And the first job that I applied for was way above my pay grade, and they didn't even really look at me, but it did open up the door to them saying, well, this guy is interested in something else. So I would always encourage you, apply for jobs. You will not get all of them, I promise you. But what it will do is it'll say that you're interested, and it may open up an opportunity. I then began to be a supervisor on the shop floor, and for many years, a greater part of a decade, I ran this shop, and that was absolutely fantastic. After that, I went and worked in a smaller shop just to get the feel of how that worked out, and then the current job that I'm in right now opened up. What I do now is I oversee a lot of people in Ontario, about 15 people in Ontario, that test welders and audit all of the certified welding clients in Ontario that do all the structural welding. So if you enter a building, be it your Walmart or a Sobeys or anything like that, that has been built by a certified CWB welding company. And what that means is that they're sticking to the plan in terms of the way that things are welded and making sure that qualified people are doing it so that we're all safe when we're walking into those buildings. If you know anybody who has a welding ticket, they probably got it through the CWB and through my employees. And this job is just awesome. I get to travel all over Ontario now, seeing all the different things that's going on. I'm currently based out of the Kitchener area, but I travel into the GTA quite regularly, not so much through the pandemic, but quite regularly I'm in there and seeing what the people in the GTA are building. I think that's it. John?
Hey, James, thank you very much. Like all our careers, it seems that none of them are a straight line. They involve, a variety of different, directions and pivots. So I'm glad to see that you, like the rest of us, have had to zig and zag a bit to get to where you're at, which is not uncommon. So I've got a number of questions I'm going to ask a variety of the panelists. And so we'll start with one for Michele. And Michele, this comes from obviously one of the students. If I want to get into hairdressing, what would be the first step?
Volunteering. It's great to volunteer. You know, you have an idea of how the business is run, what you like, what you may not like. So it'd be nice just to do some volunteering.
Yeah, you know what? I love volunteering. Is fantastic. I agree. Volunteering, either in a charity or in an industry, being an intern or a volunteer really gets you exposure. You find out what you like and you don't like, right? So
exactly.
Yeah. Here's another question. This is for HANY, and this says, I am currently 18 and will be graduating a semester early from high school, and I'll be studying engineering in university. But I wanted to get a feel for working in the construction, although I have no experience. Sorry, I lost the question here for a sec. In the field, is there any job opportunities for me as a fresh high school graduate in the construction industry? Would construction and then would bear with me a sec. Would construction companies be willing to take me in, and if so, how would I reach out to them? So basically, looking for a starter's job or a job in the construction.
Thanks, John. So there certainly is a lot of opportunity in the construction industries for young folks like yourselves, and I think in Govan Brown, for example, I'll give you guys a good example. We've find a lot of success. We do, internship programs where students would come and work for 3 months or 4 months, and they would try to learn how we work, how things go for us, and a lot of the times we end up, hiring these guys after school, and they end up getting permanent jobs. And a lot of the good talents that we have at the company come out of the internship program. So Govan Brown is interested, and we do offer the internship program. So if you guys ever want, we can share you can find on the website, you can apply to the internship opportunities, and I'm sure all other companies out there would do the same.
Exactly. You make a good point. HANY, you're a superstar in our company, and I look at most of the superstars in our company. You are actually one of the exceptions, but most superstars in our company started right out of school with us and have grown with the company. And I don't think that's it's unusual for most people to be with a company, one company for their whole career. But I've noticed in our business that most of the superstars start from right out of school and learn our way of doing things. So the next question is to Suzanne. Out of all your accomplishments, which one are you most proud of, Suzanne?
That's a good question. Honestly, I'm gonna say my first restaurant, Saturday Dinette. We were a corner restaurant in Leslieville in Toronto, and what we were able to accomplish when not knowing really much about the city, because we were fresh and new to the city, but gained a lot of insight to how food and communication and supporting a neighborhood that would then in return support you was probably hands down one of my greatest accomplishments. And yeah, I look forward to the future of hospitality and what it has in store for everyone and anyone that wants to get into the industry.
Excellent. So here's a question to me. So John, after the questions, it says, how do we reach out to a mentor without being a pain in the behind? If we don't have lots of beneficial skill, or we can't provide that much value? Well, first of all, sometimes you have to be a pain in the behind. And I'm not saying that you need to be a pest. And I always say that there's a bit of a balancing act between being persistent and being a pest, and that's really a judgment call. But I think most people reward initiative, and when people reach out to me, I'm a big believer in you got to give back, and so a lot of people in any industry are going to be more than happy to hear from students and provide guidance and advice and mentorship. Just remember that people are busy, and but generally speaking, people will get back to you. So, find the leaders in the field that you're interested in or have some interest in, and reach out to them. And I think most will reach back out to you. Here's another question for James. James, is there a difference between welding and welding engineering? To be a welder, do you need an engineering degree?
That's a great question. No, you do not need a welding engineering degree. In fact, you can weld directly with just the hands-on portion of it. So it does not necessarily have to be a college course. You might be able to find work. There's probably fantastic school programs within your area that you can certainly learn and get some of the skills that you need in order to weld. And I would highly encourage any one of you to try them out. Don't be scared. It's pretty exciting and fun.
Thank you. Hey, Michele, if you were to do it all over again, what would you do different?
Wow. I don't know if I would do it differently. Oh gosh, that's a really good question. I think that I would have went to England first. Yeah, I think I would have did the whole European thing. Yeah, I would have went to England first. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would have started my career there and then went to Italy and then to Greece and Spain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Here's an interesting question. I'm going to ask each of the panelists this, and just very quickly answer it if you could. How has COVID impacted your job? So we'll start with James, you first.
COVID has impacted my job quite substantially. I'm sitting in my house right now. I got 2 kids downstairs that are busy doing school, much like everybody else. And I used to work in an office space off of the highway in Milton. So that has drastically changed my job. I'm only out in the field a few times a week now, and I used to be all the time. So a lot less out in the field and a lot more sitting in my living room.
How about you, HANY?
So it certainly did, impact construction in general. I think it's just about to do the same again for us today when the speech is done with Docboard. But anyways, I think two things I want to cover here. One is, when we had the first shutdown in COVID, one thing we really looked at, and I think to me this is very important as part of our job, is constant planning. Because at the time we didn't know what's going to happen. So to serve our clients better, we had to keep on planning as we move forward. We have to keep doing assumptions, see when we're going to go back to site, how would that impact our clients or projects, and constantly adjusting and shifting gears and being agile all throughout this entire process. Second thing, I think one thing we looked at is we wanted to be able to help other people during this whole pandemic. And I think an important thing was, we were looking at options to help our clients in their offices by, dividing the spaces, putting plexiglass between people working to provide a safe environment, doing automated screening, providing automated screening options for, different spaces. So a lot of different things. You don't really look at a crisis that everyone's going to have to, okay, we're going to stay at home now, it's shut down, we're not working. No, that was the complete opposite. We were working on how are we going to be safe when we go back to site, and how can we constantly plan to know where we're going to end up if things go back to the new normal, I would say.
Thank you. How about you, Suzanne?
Well, last June, we fell into an unfortunate situation with our partners in our restaurant. And I say us, meaning myself and my husband, and due to systemic issues around Black Lives Matter, we actually closed our doors, and as well as seeing that, you know, the catalyst of what a pandemic does to small businesses and how it directly affects you was a huge hit to my life and to those that I worked with. And so a lot of unemployed folks, our industry in itself has seen how challenging in this province and many provinces that getting food to people, getting access to good, healthy food is a huge challenge that this nation needs to really reflect and look more at. And I think that, you know, myself, much like I've done in my life before, I've continued to pivot, and I'm now working on what the next part of my life can look like, you know, and I'm hopeful, and I feel quite positive. Every day it's a new day, and I just kind of keep the momentum going and keep my community close and my friends near.
Thank you. And Michele, just briefly, just how has it affected your business?
Well, I don't have any kids, but I am a grandma. So I've been able to spend a lot of time with my grandkids. I've been doing a lot of consultations, doing a lot of Zoom meetings, and a lot of interviews, which has been great. So in the meantime and in between time, I am marketing and pushing the business. Let's see what else. And then I'm just working on projects. Like there's projects that I have that are coming up, and I'm just preparing. You know, preparation meets opportunity. So I'm preparing when things open up, you know, I'll be ready to go.
Thank you. Well, listen, COVID has affected us all as Ontarians, as humans, as business people, and unfortunately, some of us have been impacted more than others, and hopefully, you know, sooner and later we see some real positive outcomes because of the vaccine. So, here's a question for you, James. What's the average welder's salary, and what prerequisites are needed to get into welding school? Does welding take a toll on your health? It's 30 seconds if you don't mind.
It's a good one.
Yep. The average welder salary in the GTA is probably around $22 to $26 an hour. What is needed to do that? Ideally, you need a ticket from the CWB, and there's several different versions of that ticket. However, I think the biggest thing is to have the positive mindset, a can-do attitude, and really show up ready to work every single day. Your employers count on you, and I can see every single one of the people up there nodding. Your employers count on you, so please be there every single day and give it your all.
Yeah, you know, I use an expression all the time: the harder I work, the luckier I get. You know, so here's a question to me, and this one's I'll tell you, this kind of dates me. It says you got an engineering degree at Queen's, and I was wondering what kind of grades you got in high school to get into a university like that. Well, I can tell you, if I had the grades that I had then, now I wouldn't have got into Queen's. So, but I was a good student, and I worked very hard, and I knew that I wanted to go to Queen's, and I did work very hard. And so you need to work hard in high school because, you know, it lays the foundation for anything you do going forward. So yeah, I had pretty good grades. That's all I can say. So, but that seems like a long time ago. So with that, I would like to, first of all, I'd like to thank all the students and the teachers for signing on and taking, you know, taking the time to listen to myself, but more importantly to our four panelists. And I'd like to personally thank the four of you for taking time out of your busy days. I know that there's a lot of things pulling you in a million different directions, and I really appreciate you taking the time. And I say that on behalf of JA as well as the teachers and students. So thank you. And then I hand it off now to Jen James, who's the VP of Programs and IT at JA of Central Ontario, for some closing remarks. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you so much, John. What a great job you did emceeing today's event. We really appreciate your facilitation and also for just sharing more with the students about how you've found success and joy in your work in the construction industry. Michele, HANY, Suzanne, and James, thank you. We're just so fortunate to have each of you join today's session and give us a glimpse into your exciting and varied career journeys. Your stories of how you've just continued to learn, found mentors to help you, and been open to change, are just really encouraging. You've each found success in unique and varied ways, and it's really inspiring to all of us. Students and teachers, if you enjoyed today's session, we have many more lined up. And some of those, like today, they're specific to careers in manufacturing and trades. Others highlight careers and opportunities in different sectors. So the next one, for example, on February 18th, that includes speakers in law and security. Great questions, students. Thank you so much for posting those in the chat. If there are some outstanding questions that we didn't get to, we'll follow up with our panelists and then send out a written communication with their responses. We would encourage you to take some time to complete the survey so that we can just hear back from you what you liked about this session. If you ask your teachers for the link and you complete the survey, you'll be entered to win a $100 gift card of your choosing in a draw that will select from the completed surveys. And as we close, I'd just like to remind you that these types of events, they wouldn't be possible without the support of our partners. So thank you again to the Ontario Trillium Foundation for their support of this event, and to RBC, who sponsors World of Choices as well. They believe in the potential for each of you to find your way to fulfilling careers, and we too believe that, and know that your future is promising, unique to you, and you have the power to define your success. So on behalf of JA Central Ontario, I wish you all the best in your continued educational and career pursuits. Thank you again, everyone, and thank you for joining.